pretty
Yeah.
good.
I just-
Yeah, because the last
Right.
one was 14 and
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the July 25th County Council meeting. If we could all stand for the pledge. James Carmichael, would you like to start us off?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Present.
Mr. Mokel.
Here.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Present.
Piper.
Here.
Mr. Freeman.
Here.
All right, so just a reminder, questions from the public may be directed to County Council, DIST, at co.delaware.in.us. Again, that's County Council, DIST, at co.delaware.in.us. You can also contact any of us council members through our emails as well. Denise, was the agenda posted?
yes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the
So
agenda.
moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, and now entertain the approval of the June 27th County Council meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please. Oh, any questions or comments with those minutes? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to our transfer agenda.
Okay, first, under County General, we have Assessor 134. We have line 104 for salaries, negative $19,104 to A 104, salaries, positive $14,100. 442, computer replacement, positive $5,004. Total transfer is zero.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on.
Okay, under Circuit Courts 138, we have B 120, Assistant Court Reporter / Court Bailiff, negative $14,097. C 120, Assistant Court Reporter / Court Bailiff, positive $14,097 for a total of zero.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I have a quick question. So I had seen some notes from the finance meeting that said that, this position wasn't filled yet. How long has it been open?
Emily Anderson, Court Administrator, I forgot. So this person was, the position was open June 30th. And I believe the judge has decided on a person at this time. We just haven't done the paperwork yet. So it's been like maybe, what is this, almost a month?
Okay.
Yeah, so they're running on 2 staff in there and using my part-time to help.
I was just asking if it was something, one of those deals where it's been open for a long time and you've
No.
already proven that you can do without it.
Now, this
Okay,
was an
good.
unexpected thing, so as soon as it happened, we posted it, but it's taken a minute to get somebody.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. And I should add that all of the transfers had a favorable recommendation from the Finance Committee, so I meant to say that earlier, but, all right, moving on.
Okay, under Clerk 125, we have 198 part-time, negative $7,000. 394 bank fees, negative $3,600. 441 computer equipment, positive $10,600. Total zero.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
Rick, I failed to write this down, but you're taking leftover money from somebody you haven't hired or who has not been hired, is that right?
That's right. I had some money in part-time, so I transferred that over to try to cover the gap that we need to replace some computers.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on.
Jail, 145. We have I-140 Correctional Officer, negative 21,197.20. J-140 Correctional Officer, positive 21,197.20. F-114 Correctional Officer, negative 17,908.64. G-114 Correctional Officer, positive 17,908.64. C-133 Corporal, and this amount is now negative 20,875.56. D-133 Corporal, this amount has been changed to a positive 20,875.56 for a total of zero.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I just, wanted to this looked like a good one to speak up on it for the record. Every couple meetings, I'll remind everybody who may not follow along with what we do here, that this is just a general replacement of employees. This is what, 3 employees who left. This is transferring their salaries for the next 3 employees who will take their place. So just wanted to state that for the record real fast, please.
Do you want to talk about your staffing currently?
Effective yesterday, because I just turned another one in today, we're now down 11. Joe? So, I'm sorry, 10. One more will make us an entire shift. So, thus, next month, you'll see me transferring all the excess salaries into overtime. With short people makes us having to work everybody else over.
Just a new development?
We did good for a while, but back to what we were before. I can't give you an answer. We had one girl stay one day. Decided it wasn't for her.
Well, that's a tough job. It's not for everybody. I'm sure
It
there's
is.
probably more people than her who's got there and realize that it's probably a little bit outside of, what they feel comfortable doing.
True. So true.
All right, do we have any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, under other, we have American Rescue Plan. Line 100, negative 96,101. Employee ARP administration cost, negative 50,171. FICA, negative 2,716. 172. PERP, negative 12,640. 310. Mental health and rehab, positive 161,356 for a total transfer of zero.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I would just real quickly like to ask you to kind of state for the record what this is for, with the mental
So
health
these
and
are
rehab.
just the remaining balances of a few of our projects, and we're just transferring that into the mental health facility.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you. All right, moving on.
Ball Brothers Grant High Tech Crimes Unit, 9214. 394 renovations, negative $30,000. 411 forensic software and equipment, positive $30,000 for a total of zero.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Oh, go ahead.
Chuck, you guys are moving over here, gonna be renovating the space, 3rd floor?
Yes.
And this was just, make sure I got it right. Ball Brothers is gonna provide a grant, but they wanna see plans have to be done. They're moving this money to do that, correct?
Chuck Zimmer's director for the High Tech Crimes Unit. Yes, we've had to downshift a little bit. It's gonna be fairly costly. I'll be back up here in a little bit. We got a rapid grant through Ball Brothers for $5,000. That's going to just be for planning costs. I was hoping we could get this handled for $50,000, and it's looking more like $500,000 for the whole thing. So it's gonna have to be done in sections, and I'll have to be patient to get over here.
All right, you're fine. You had a question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on.
Jail lit, 1170-145. We have C 103, correctional officer, negative 14,885.68. D 103, correctional officer, positive 14,885.68, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Moving right along.
Highway, motor vehicle highway, 1176, B 130, negative 19,000, B 130 truck driver, negative 19,529.04. C 130 truck driver, positive 19,529.04. F 127 truck driver, negative 25,905.74. G 127 truck driver, positive 25,905.74, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I have a quick question. Could you tell, or explain why the large discrepancy between the dollar amounts for the same position?
Carrie Dye, County Highway. The one that's now gonna be G 127, he's only been with us a couple months. So whatever the balance was left in the account, we transfer it to the new account. And there'll be a leftover at the end of the year that will go back to the cash for next year.
So I guess what I'm not understanding, why is one only 19,000, the other one 25,000?
Because he's been an employee with us, so he's obviously started at the beginning of the year. The one that's 25,000, he just has maybe 6 weeks, couple months in. So that's why. He hasn't been working very long to get that much payment.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Prosecutor, 137, B 115, deputy prosecutor, negative 17,329.87. 441 computers, positive 17,329.87, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, clerk perpetuation, and this number is 1119, not 119. I don't know if you guys got the correction on that, but it's 1119. 314, storage rental, negative $3,000. 442, office machines, positive $3,000, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
What is the storage rental?
Okay, for years and years, the clerk's office have been renting storage space to keep our files. We never have been able to keep it under one roof. This year, we finally got all of our files under one roof. We've got them all at the Justice Center. I used to have that budget line to pay for those, files to be stored in other buildings outside the county.
So you already have space now in your
We
current
now
office?
have it at the Justice Center, so we won't be paying that out anymore.
Okay, great. I was
First
first
time
half
in-
this building's empty.
Yeah. Oh, I know, up here, yeah, this is the first time, I don't know how far back, we've had files all over town.
I remember, now that you say that, I remember some discussion about that during the budget meetings. I remember hearing a little bit about it. I think the plan was to get them all moved. It sounds like you've done that, so good job
Finally
with
did,
that.
that was one of the great things about the Justice Center, was it gave us that ability to get all of our stuff in one place. We're still sorting and scanning and trying to cut down the amount of files as much as we can, but, and then on the purchase on this side, just a continuation of the computers that we bought earlier, but we were able to use perpetuation money instead of general fund money.
So when you submit your budget, you're obviously not gonna include this?
I'm not gonna have rental fees.
Okay, awesome. Well done, thank you.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, sales disclosure, 1131. We have 212, Form 11 supplies, negative $2,524. We have 322, says postcard supplies, which is also postage, negative $301. 442, computer replacement, positive 2,825. Total transfer is 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I just real quick ask Mr. Carmichael, is this just one computer, two computers you're
I'm
getting?
replacing the entire office, 11.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they're, between 5 and 6 years old. It's time to replace them.
Yeah.
So everything I've got before you today includes computers.
Okay, thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to our addendum.
Okay, under County General, we have Communications 124. From the first line, B 114 down to C 120 is all communication text. And then I'll read the number and the amount. We have B 114, negative $22,076.98. A 133, negative 3,500. C 101, negative 6,000. C 111, negative 4,000. C 128, negative 2,500. C 132, negative 3,000. G 125, negative 2,500. I 109, negative 11,000. B 111, negative $78. C 114, positive $18,076.98. C 120, positive $78. Then we go to 196 overtime, positive $20,000. 195 holiday pay, positive $15,000. 312 professional cleaning, $1,500, and the total transfer is 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Morning, Director Cummins. Can you help me understand the holiday pay, how we're needing 15,000 for holiday pay?
So when I did the budget last year, I'd been here 5 months, and a lot of the people were taking holiday pay as comp time. This year, because of the switch to 12-hour shifts, a lot more people are taking it as pay. So that's the discrepancy.
Okay,
So you'll see in next year's budget, that amount has been increased to cover people actually taking it in pay versus comp.
so is there like any type of, directive to ensure that that's a fixed cost, that we know we have this many holidays in the year and this is the dollar amount it's gonna be, and that's, it won't deviate
It's
from that?
better in the 2024 budget, but I didn't have the background here
Sure.
in 5 months when I did the budget, so. And a lot of people at that time were taking it as comp time because they didn't get the amount of time off they get now.
All right, thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Okay, EMS 155. We have 108 paramedic, negative 25,945.19. A 108 paramedic, positive 25,945.19. The rest are going to be advanced EMTs. Line number A 121, negative 17,978.70. B 121, positive 17,978.70. B 122, negative 20,193.94. C 122, positive 20,193.94. A 137, negative 19,247.85. B 137, positive 19,247.85. Total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
Thank
Here, go ahead.
Oh, you have one? You go ahead.
Oh, nope. Okay.
was this like 4 different employees for this one right here? Are you guys kind of in a similar situation as what they was explaining earlier with corrections? Are you guys starting to see a pattern of, running low on folks, or do you have people in place to replace the ones who are leaving?
Meg Matino, Office Manager EMS. We do have one person that just finished medic school that is going to replace, our medic that we lost. He's only on this right now because he finally got paid out for all the vacation time and stuff that he had. So she is moving into that spot, so then that makes her spot open. We lost one, had to fire one, and then we're replacing the spot for the one that's taken the medic spot. But we are very happy because we have now 10 applications that we have gotten in, and we are very excited about that. So hopefully we'll have these spots full soon.
Where are these people coming from?
I know, I don't know. They were, for the longest time, we weren't getting anything. Like we went a whole year where we got one application, and then all of a sudden, within like 3 weeks, they've just come in. Like people are just showing up randomly. Here, can I put in an application? I'm like, yeah, you can. So, but we've gotten 10 in the past like 2 weeks, which is really nice.
Well, maybe, you know, there's a lot of talk about the economy and it being on shaky ground. Maybe people are looking for something a little bit more solid.
And I know there was a
Making plans ahead of
class
time.
that just finished not too long ago, and then there's another EMT class that's starting here soon. So I think, you know, people just getting out of class, and then they're wanting to get a job, so is the only thing I can think of, is because it looks like a lot of these people are coming from EMT classes that they have just been in, so.
Awesome.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Jail 145, these are all correctional officers. We have H 138, negative 19,000, 333.03. I 138, positive 19,000, 333.03. G 119, negative 18,000, 738.86. H 119, positive 18,000, 738.86. F 139, negative 16,000, 358.75. G 139, positive 16,000, 358.75, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Ms. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Okay, Sheriff 129. We have C 121 Sergeant, negative 23,174.12. D 121 Sergeant, positive 23,174.12. C 122 Corporal, negative 21,760.36. D 122 Corporal, positive 21,760.36. A 133 Deputy, negative 20,962.32. B 133 Deputy, positive 20,962.32. B 113 Lieutenant, negative 25,187.28. C 113 Lieutenant, positive 25,187.28, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Okay, and jail lit. We have, this is under other, jail lit, A 105 correctional officer, negative 22,307.35. B 105 correctional officer, positive 22,307.35, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prosecutor lit, 1170. This is Department 137. We have C 116 receptionist, negative 13,334.83. D 116 receptionist, positive 13,334.83. B, 118, investigator, negative 17,070 cents. C, 118, investigator, positive 17,070 cents, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mr. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the addendum to the addendum.
Okay, addendum 2. Under county general, we have circuit court, 138. Line A, 160, probation officer, negative $13,631. B, 160, probation officer, positive $13,631. E, 140, pretrial screening analyst, negative $12,980.30. F, 140, pretrial screening analyst, positive $12,980.30, total 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan.
This wasn't in the workbook that I sent out to everybody, so.
Yeah, so this one, typically we wouldn't push this through. So we had, Emily come to us at our finance meeting, and there's some opportunities to get people hired pretty much immediately. So kind of made an exception here for her. So Emily, if you want to kind of cover that.
Emily Anderson, Court Administrator. Thank you to Denise and Council Piper for letting me get this in last minute. So we had a probation officer resign, and her last day is August 4th, which kind of makes it hard for us to wait till August meeting, so they said I could turn this in. So the probation officer is going to another county, which is unusual because that usually doesn't happen. But I think it's because they're giving her kind of like a director position, like being over a not a department, but over some sort of program. So it is a little more money for that person. So I have to move 2 people because the pretrial screening analyst position is our position that fields all the probation officer, it feeds all those probation officer line items. So we move up the current pretrial screening analyst person into the probation officer position. So August 4th is the probation officer's last day. August 5th, we'll have that current pretrial screening analyst move into that position. And so we're actually we posted the pretrial screening analyst position, and we'll be hiring for that. We don't have that filled.
Any questions for Emily?
That's correct. The probation officer salaries those are state mandated.
Correct. So that's why I said it's unusual for a probation officer to leave for another county, but I think she's getting a little more extra for being in charge of a program in that county.
Any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mr. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the appropriations.
Under county general, we have commissioners, 153. We have line 322 postage for positive $50,000. 369 justice center maintenance, positive $50,000. 394 returning fugitives, positive $20,000. Total equals $120,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan.
Can you go through the postage and why it's costing so much more than what was budgeted?
That was just an estimate that Mike Jones gave me. I know the rates did increase some, like a couple weeks ago, I think. But honestly, I don't really have a good answer for that. I didn't do the budget last year, but I know that they did increase. There's, I pay like the leasing fees and stuff out of that account as well,
How much is in the account now?
about $10,000. But usually I will send like a check for a lump sum and 2 Pitney Bows, and then that's how Mike, refills the meters. That was just a estimate from him that would get us through the rest of the year.
How much did the stamps go up or the postage go up?
I'm not 100%
I can
sure on
answer
that.
that. It went up 5% first of the year, and then it went up almost another 5% here this month.
Okay, yeah, because I had actually looked, I didn't see this month, I seen last year's, and there's 4 to 5%. So where I'm struggling with this is if the postage went up, that's already a $150,000 budget. I've tried for 2 years to get that budget reduced as it is. I think it's a lot of money for postage in a day in there, in an era when everything's going digital and most people have email, but that's a whole nother story. But to ask for an increase of 33% for a budget or for a line item that only increased 8 to 10%, that's what I'm struggling with. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I can, I have like a printout of everything that's taken out of the account. There's a few other, things as well, but that was just an estimate that Mike had given me. I'm not 100% sure.
And I know you're kind of getting your sea
Uh-huh.
legs here, so we don't beat you up too bad about it, but I mean, it's a large request for an already large line item.
Sure.
So I don't feel like I would be doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I think everybody else agrees the same, that if we didn't kind of press you a little bit on these.
Sure.
I know Ryan always likes to remind us that we're more a tech savvy community now, but government is not. So everything still goes snail mail and we're stuck with these costs. Like we have no way to get around them because we're held by, law to mail things out and to,
Hey, Ryan, I can kind of answer about the postage. So by statute, we're still required, the courts are still required to send things out via mail. Doesn't matter about technology. By statute, you have to send things, both certified mail and, well, now they use signature confirmation and mail. So you're looking at jury summonses, which we've been doing a lot of jury summonses, and then also all of our court mail. So that's never gonna go down.
Sure.
So I know you're thinking, well, technology, which is true, we do utilize that on some things, but there's other things that we cannot do that for.
Yeah, it's an imperfect system. I'm sure there'll never be a time when you can
We'll
completely get away
never
with
be
it.
off of that, yes.
Hopefully, maybe we can get some assistance from our friends at the State House and we can start
We're
kind
still
of
pushing for.
move it into the 21st century a little
Yeah,
bit.
we are still pushing for, publication through a portal because people can't afford publication through the paper. So, and that still hasn't happened. So we do ask for these things, but old statutes.
Okay, well, let me ask this question then. So we have a $150,000 budget for 12 months. We're on month 7. What's changed? What, other than a 10% increase in postage, which only half of that just increased last month? So why have we went through a whole year's budget in 6 months, almost 7 months?
I'm not sure that she would have the answer to that, but I know James can tell you, we have to mail out, statements for our taxes. Purdue goes through us. There's just a lot of mail, and we can't go email, because a lot of people don't have email.
There's been an increase in volume.
And there's been an increase in volume with the people that email out and what the clerk mails out.
The
So,
state did what's called a voter list maintenance this year, where they mailed to every registered voter in Delaware County 3 times, I think, because we were checking for addresses and trying to purge some of the voters from our roll. So we had a huge volume, and I'll warn you ahead of time, next year's gonna be at least twice as bad with the big election, so. I know what you're trying to do, Ryan. I don't want to break your heart, but
Why would we need to do it next year if we did it this year, though? If the whole point is to verify that the voter lives there.
talk to the election division, because we have to do it a series of times before we can purge the voter. And next year too, it'll be absentee ballots and mail-in ballots and stuff. This year will be in a municipal election, we're a lot smaller. But even at that, I can't give you any idea of the number of pieces of mail we've filed this year that we send out, then it comes back. If it comes back once, we gotta send it out again for it to come back a second time for us to verify that the person's really not there, and we still can't take them off the voter list.
Okay.
Thank you.
all right, any questions outside of postage?
Oh, I have questions for all these.
Okay,
Should we move on to the next one?
yes, please.
Okay, building maintenance. So on the building maintenance here, let's see, we generally have about a $30,000 budget for that. So this is a $50,000 request. So again, the 30,000 didn't make it the whole year, barely made it half the year.
No.
Why are we needing almost double what was already allocated for the year?
That's just like general invoices that I received, which I think that I sent you. It's just a lot of things going wrong and just,
Needing repaired.
yeah.
Steve Foster, Building Superintendent.
So the Justice Center alone, I mean, you guys has all been out there, very high tech. Takes a lot of money to run that, $20,000 a year for filters alone. I just found out the other day, the little control boxes on the back of the toilets, which runs the toilet, runs the shower, runs all that. I was getting them rebuilt for 600. Now there can be anywhere to 1,000, 1,500 because, and that has to go through Willoughby's in Indianapolis. They're the only ones that can do it. Everything's proprietary to something. Carrier does all the supply, all of our air handlers and stuff. I have found a local company that'll do the repairs cheaper than Carrier will, but, I mean, we just had a driver go bad on the chiller system a month ago. It can't be down. That was $6,000 to have that installed, just the part without the labor. I'd say the labor is probably another 500 or 600, if not more. So, I mean, it's,
I'm saying like mowing is like $3,000. We have, pest control, that's, you know,
we just had a breakout on pests up in the lab. I had to have the pest control. They was in there at least twice a week because there was mice in the lab eating up evidence, eating up personal belongings. So, I mean, people were starting to see them in DCC. They were starting to see them. So,
Yeah, I went through the invoices, I seen there was quite a bit for pest control. There's, another one that was, I can't recall off the top of my head, there was quite a bit of them in there. Outside of those unexpected ones, the budget's 30,000, you just mentioned the filters alone are 20,000. I'm curious why we wouldn't have asked for more in that budget to begin with, if 2/3 of it is tied up in one item, and you're gonna, maintenance an entire building. The other question I have for you is, how do you do with, competitive quotes? Like, where's your competitive quotes? What's your process for that? Do you just do this all on your own? Do the commissioners oversee it?
Sometimes they gotta be, certified to work on the equipment he is, and so
so
competitive quotes are hard to get.
here's how we do it. If it's 50%, 60% of everything's emergency. I've talked to Carrier, I've talked to other companies, and the company that I've used now. Carrier's twice as much, they can't make it up here. The company that I'm previously using right now is always 30 minutes to an hour out. I mean, just like I've had people prior before that. If it's anything under 150,000, I have to get competitive bids. If it's anything, I always email or text the commissioners when if it's over $2,000, I let them know what's going on, but we constantly keep in contact.
Shannon, is there allocations being made for next year now on maintenance?
We increased the budget. You'll see in the budget, I think we increased it, by a large amount. And just a reminder as well, this is general maintenance stuff. Like you said, we get an inmate flush a blanket, and that's $10,000 to $20,000. So it's been the last 2 times. And it seems like it always happens on a Friday evening. So it's an emergency situation, obviously, and you gotta get people in there to get the water out of the courts, because we know the courts are busy. Just a reminder though, this is general maintenance. We do pay, I think there's $100,000 in edit that we also use for maintenance. We're also paying for, roofing out at the jail, out of, our money, we're paying for that, and we've also set aside $75,000 for the HVAC system up here that we're paying for. So you guys aren't getting hit with everything, we're trying to help you, but we need help too, because it just seemed like we got a lot going on, both places. Luckily, Fred was able to, give him some money, he found money to do upgrades and updates in his building, so that building should be in pretty decent shape. Now that I say that, the roof will leak tomorrow, but, there's just things that are popping up and that's the reason for the increase in the ask.
Well, I don't have, and again, I don't wanna come off as we're grilling you as we don't believe what you're saying, but we gotta be accountable for every dollar that we appropriate. And for me, I guess, I'm only speaking for myself. Well, I'm always only speaking for myself, but let me reiterate that. So But if you have a budget, like postage, 150,000, this one is 30,000. And you have the autonomy to work within that budget once it's appropriated for the year without any oversight whatsoever. But for me, once you exceed that, and now you have to come and ask for an excessive, extra amount, to me, that's where it falls more into, okay, well, now, I think you should, for me personally, I think you should have brought some competitive quotes. I think you should have given some more details of exactly what it is you're spending the money on. I think you should have told me how much the postage is gonna be, how much you're gonna need. To just give a blanket 50,000 or a blank 30,000, for me, I struggle with that. I'm just one person, I'm just
But we
sharing my
can't, we
opinion.
can't foresee what's gonna break tomorrow.
Sure.
So we feel like that's what will get us through the end of the year, and that's what we've asked for. We've asked for $100,000 in that budget next year. So it is a large increase. I get it, but that's, I mean, we can't look into the future, unfortunately. And again, we try to get competitive quotes when we can. But there's things that we can't get competitive quotes on because it's one manufacturer and that's it. This building is a little more lenient because it's older. Out there is not.
I believe in Matt's notes, Matt, for those of you who don't know, they go to finance meeting, Matt always shares his notes with us, for those of us who weren't there. I thought I seen something about a roof repair as far as one of these as well. Is that still included?
We're paying for that. That's
Okay.
that's what I spoke
I
about.
heard you say, I wanted to make
yeah.
sure that was what you were talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing the roof, and like I said, we've budgeted 75,000 for the HVAC here. That's why, I know you come in sometimes and there's fluctuations in the temperature in this building. And Steve's working on trying to get that regulated. However, it's gonna cost some money. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan, you got one more
I got
bullet
one
point.
more. So the returning fugitives, I did a little looking into this. We generally have a $5,000 budget for that. I'd planned on asking you why this is such a large, increase, and you're asking for an additional 20,000, which is, 4 times as much as what was already appropriated.
Right.
I spoke with the sheriff, and I have learned there have been quite a few fugitives, that need to be returned. Can you give me have you depleted your amount completely and this is replacing it? Or do you anticipate more fugitives throughout the year?
I think that there will be more. I have one on my desk that's, for $5,000 right now that I need to pay. But yeah, I've had 5 already around between $3,000 to $5,000.
So I know you use a company out of Nashville. Do we use our own deputies on neighboring states? Or do we strictly use that company out of Nashville no matter where they go?
So I think Tony can come up and speak of this, but I believe if it's around Indiana, they send their own deputies, is that correct, Sheriff? And then if it's farther away, they have a company do it.
So this is just an odd year because we've never had anything like this in the last 5 years.
Yeah, Tony Skinner, Delaware County Sheriff. It's my understanding the prosecutor sets who gets extradited back to Indiana. So if we get an extradition order from a surrounding state or something that we can do in 1 day's travel there and back, we always do it. But if it's something longer, extensive travel, overnights, airplanes, they use this company.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, any further questions?
Jessica, I want to say one thing.
Yes.
Okay, Ryan,
ma'am.
last year, we were budgeted 150,000, and we got the same thing for the 2023. So if the price of postage went up, there's your answer. And that's why she's needing more money.
Yeah, but it went up 4 to 8%, and you're asking for 33% increase.
Well, I know, but
That
you
matters.
heard Rick say what he had to send out.
Mhm.
And it's just, like Shannon said, this is not something they can predict. This is not something they can predict, but what I'm saying, we got the same in 23 as we got in 22 with just the postage going up. That's not with all the other, I don't know what Tony sends out. I know what he sends out. I know what Purdue sends out. I know what Rick sends out. So that's just extra that we don't know. We don't know. So that's why she's up here asking for the extra money.
There was no ask on an increase in postage though from 22.
There was no.
Yeah, so, again, those fluctuations, we know that the US Postal Service is
But you never know.
gonna
from day-
increase their
yeah.
rates year over year, and still give their crappy service, but nonetheless, we're getting the same amount. We need to be allocating that year over year. And, you know, 10, 20%, whatever the number is.
Because I think if I'm understanding you correctly, if you're saying that we had to come in last year again and ask for additional postage, and part of that increased July of last year, then there should have been an increase in the budget this year over the previous year, but it was the same 150,000.
You mean for the new budget
That's not
coming
your
in?
argument.
And that's not
your
my,
budget,
yeah, and
but
I don't know
I'm just-
anything
I'm
what
just
she
stating it for the
asked
record.
on that. I don't know anything about that.
I have asked for
Okay.
coming here.
I'm assuming it'll probably be increased this year's budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
No.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Corner, 133. You have 242 operating. I think that's operating supplies. Positive $19,392 for a total of $19,392.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I have a question. So, this was originally scheduled to be on last month, right?
Correct.
This is, if I understand what Gavin said, this is for radios.
Correct.
Can you speak just a little bit about what this is, what you're gonna use these for before I get into what I'm gonna ask you?
Rhiannon Reed, Coroner's Office. So this is a, quote that we have from J&K Communications for 5 handheld, radios that our deputies will use on scene. It's for our safety, for our guys when they arrive, to be able to communicate with dispatch, to be able to communicate with other agencies. We're gonna get 5 for our coroner, chief deputy, and the first 3 deputies that take most of the calls.
And how are you doing that now?
Telephone, calling in to dispatch, relaying information, calling the medics, calling the officers.
So the request is to be able to get the same radios, to be on the same frequency with the EMTs and the police and
Correct.
and all the emergency response vehicles.
Correct.
Correct.
There's some scenarios that Gavin has described that are pretty ridiculous in terms of the coroner actually being able to arrive on scene or get to the scene in the first place.
Correct.
Which, you know, lends itself to this happening, or to this need, seemingly. I did bring up, or I should have brought up maybe sooner, was the notion that, and this is something that's gonna come up when we talk to Ball Brothers and maybe have them in front of all the elected officials, is the opportunity for that money to actually go find a grant to get money for things like radios. I know, you know, 911 does stuff like that, and EMA and such, and that's one of their focus areas, and it gives me a little bit of pause that, you know, we probably should have looked at some funding sources prior to the ask. But I do agree that the ask is necessary. It's just that may have been something we should have probably pursued in a different way in this capacity. So I just want to put that on the record. Not that I'm not supportive, just that it's something we probably should have reconsidered.
I believe during finance too, we talked about that particular grant being tapped out already, and I think some of the departments already had it on
Yeah,
their
for the
list.
year, it's
For next
already-
year, yeah.
For this year, correct.
And we have started to look into it for next year, because if we acquire these, we'll need 5 more for the rest of our deputies.
Okay.
So we will look into those grants.
Okay.
So this is just the bare minimum
Correct.
to get you going. Okay, now I'll get to my question. Last year, you guys had come up here and pretty much the same argument, but it was, you were using your personal cell phones to do this, to communicate. So I think we appropriated some money to give you guys all cell phones. I believe when I spoke with Gavin, he said they never purchased the phones, or he was waiting to purchase the phones, and I was a little unclear on that. Can you clarify that? And if so, why didn't you guys purchase the phones?
So we received $1,200 for phones, which isn't enough to buy phones for the coroner, the chief deputy, and the first 3. They have been using a stipend, I think last year they used a stipend, like a $50 stipend towards their existing phone bills.
So that's what I'm getting at. So in lieu of purchasing phones, you're basically, the coroner employees are just getting an additional stipend to use their own existing phone. Is that correct? Would that be accurate?
So we're going to get rid of that line altogether
Sure. If
for
you
the
get this.
radios.
Right,
Yes.
but that's what you've been doing.
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's what I wanted to get at.
But we're gonna try to get away from the phones because those can be subpoenaed, our personal cell phones with pictures, if we take pictures of the crime scene. So we actually did get a grant through the Indiana Department, Health to get cameras. So we will have cameras that the deputies are gonna carry now, so we don't have to use our cell phones, our personal cell phones to take photos. So we're trying to get away from our phones.
And will this do that?
The radios will help on scene, and then the cameras that will be coming in the next few months should eliminate our cell phones. And then for next year's budget, we've eliminated that cell phone line that you gave us.
What's the expense of the cameras?
They were $349, I think, a piece, and then the bags were $28, and we got a grant for 5 of those, I think.
Okay. Excellent.
Any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving out of county general into other.
Okay, the ARP 8950 was withdrawn. Next, we have Ball Brothers Grant High Tech Crimes Unit 9214, 394 renovations, positive $5,000 for a total of $5,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
I have just a quick question, for clarification. Is this the renovations for this building for you guys moving in to your new space?
Chuck Zimmer's director for the HTCU. Yes, that's funding to plan, get architectural render, which I've heard 5,000 isn't even gonna cover that, but
Dan does good architecture, pretty cheap. Right.
But yeah, it's all gonna be spent on working towards moving here, correct?
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned earlier that the renovation costs are gonna be significantly more than you originally envisioned. Why is that?
I'm a 17-year investigator, a 2-year digital forensics person, and 50,000 seemed like it would be plenty to do a third of that project, and apparently I'm not an architect or a contractor. I have met with a contractor, we've gone through the space, and we hope to be able to do it in sections. If we can get a third of it done, we would be able to move what we have up here now, and then we could expand. We have some plans for using the old courtroom, redoing that, and that would be a training facility. We've met with law enforcement. They would love to be able to be brought in and instructed on some of the tech issues, as opposed to traveling or paying other entities to do that training there. We would be able to bring them here, and
But in terms of costs, it's construction costs that are just,
we've got a demo costs, because the current configuration isn't anywhere what we would need. And then, at least our third, the initial third, has to be, have a certain level of security, because we have evidence and everything, so, that will be more expensive than just a normal office. But, I hope to move forward in bites over time. First cost would be the demolition, then, move forward with the first third of the construction.
Thank you.
So you're not trying to build some CSI style high-tech room? It's
No, really, I
just a
want walls that
total-
go from the concrete to the steel. That's basically what I need, and then some basic electric. I mean, yeah, we're not needing anything extreme. I mean, we'll bring all the machines we have, and hopefully buy more machines as we can't expand. I can add some computers, which I'm doing. We're putting shelves on walls and setting computers up on walls, but I can't add humans because there's no place for them to sit, so.
Well, I'm assuming when you do this construction with your design, I mean, you said it yourself, there's so much information in these phones. Your department's probably gonna be the fastest growing department, local government for the next 25 years. So make sure you guys leave yourself a little wiggle room to expand in the future, because I'm sure
Right,
you'll need it.
we'll have plenty of space. I mean, it's around 4,700 square feet and we're in around 300 square feet now, so it would give us plenty of room to expand and add things we can do. We can't really expand services, and there's plenty of things out there that we could grow into, but, we're not adding anything now because I don't have the people or the space to handle any new ventures.
This unit was all created from grants initially, right?
Correct. The state of Indiana created 10 of these across the state, set aside $3 million and divided it among the 10. They withheld 15,000 from each entity for an administrative cost. So they haven't spent that over the last 2 years. We did just amend our agreement with IPAC. The commissioners have signed it. They are giving back $30,000 within the next month or so because they were not able to increase the budget this budget cycle. So to offset that, they're giving back to each of the units the 30 they withheld over the last 2 years to offset.
Next year's budget, it sees no increase.
Right, every 2 years. So yeah, for the next 2 years, we're capped at the 285,000. Maybe we'll get the 15 back from those also. But hopefully after that 2 year, hopefully we can get an increase because the tools go up every year. Licensing is year to year.
Yeah, this is not an area where, stagnation is,
Computers are the least of our expenses.
Yeah, right.
Which,
it's a great example as we're going to budgets with the public health increase, the money that's coming with the public health, the Senate Bill 4, because they'll fund it for 2 years. There's no guarantee on a third year. Chuck's talking about an example of, well, what happens after year 2? We don't know, provisions need to be made. You're looking to expand because it's actually working. State's not gonna really supplement any more than what they're already doing, so I think, it's just food for thought as we're looking at,
and there are grants out there to look for in addition to what we get from Ball Brothers. I'm very thankful for them. They've been great partners. But that's all process. It all takes time, and I can only do so many things at one time.
appreciate your work.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, and last, we have sales disclosure, 1131, 323 mileage, positive $100, 393 schooling, positive $3,000, 442 computer replacement, $3,200, for a total of $6,300.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
A quick question. Could you just give us a recap on the schooling, what that entails?
Sure. James Carmichael, County Assessor. Schooling is for our annual conference. One of our annual conferences, we have 2. I take a couple individuals, sometimes 3. They're required to keep up their hours on their level certifications.
Yeah, so you don't, that's not a line item you have in your budget, is it? for
No,
schooling?
this is a sales disclosure fund is a separate fund that we have to come before you to get what we need when we need it. It's only, used for, computer equipment and schooling and, related.
And you do this annually?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, that wraps that up. If someone would like to read the motion.
Make a motion to approve the aforementioned finances.
No, it's in your,
Approve financial transfers and to amend salary ordinance with like reductions.
Just let Eugene do it.
He's ready, he's got
all
it.
right, Dan, okay, so motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. For future reference, it's printed there for you on your agenda.
Right here.
Okay, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. We have an update to salary ordinance 2023-16. It's updating the part-time for federal inmate transporters. Sheriff, you'd like to share a little bit about this?
Yeah, I don't have a copy of that in front of me, but I think it was just basically one line was added to that, and that is, so I can hire a couple of part-time employees that will be dedicated for transporting federal inmates from our jail to the federal courthouse in Indianapolis, or from the jail, say, to the hospital or a doctor visit. Anytime that those particular inmates have to leave the jail, we get reimbursed by the federal government for an hourly rate plus mileage. So that reimbursement by the U.S. Marshals would fully cover this rate that we're asking for, which I believe is $24 an hour to just transport federal inmates when they have to leave our building. When we do transports, it requires 2 officers. We have to have 2, not just one. And they do reimburse for both of those, so.
So I'm not understanding. The $24 an hour includes mileage, or that's just?
No, mileage is on top of that.
Okay, okay. And then do we have to use our own vehicles?
Yes,
So the government's paying us $24 an hour. What
the
is
government's
the rate?
paying us 26, I think.
So, and you're paying the part-time guys 24?
Correct.
Okay. Are these like reserve officers?
No, we can't have a reserve officer to volunteer their time for the county and to get paid for the county. So these will be people that I hire and make them special deputies, and this will be their only assignment. Yeah. So they will have law enforcement powers while they're at work, while they're on duty doing these transports. They will have law enforcement powers. But other than that, when they go off the clock, they don't have law enforcement powers.
So they won't be able to like do side security gigs and
No, they
stuff
won't.
like reserves do?
Nope.
Okay.
Are there special vehicles required?
There's not. We'll just use our, we've got a couple of vehicles that the last time that we bought vehicles and traded in, we've got a couple of SUVs that are in good shape that we have setting aside specifically for transports. Yeah, so there are sheriff's office vehicles.
They don't require any additional safety something or?
They don't. That's why you have 2 transporting officers. There's your built-in safety factor right there.
Thank you.
Is there any liability to the county, say God forbid anything happened during a transport?
We do transports every day anyway.
Okay.
So no,
Business as
there's
usual.
the only difference is these inmates are treated special because they're not our inmates. They're not state inmates that belong to Delaware County or another county awaiting charges. They belong to the federal government. So they have oversight on how the procedure is to be done. So other than that, it's just a transport. Y'all, we do transports every single day. Every time we arrest somebody, guess what? We do a transport. We take them to jail. So it's no different. It's just different because they're federal inmates.
Ever seen the movie U.S. Marshals?
Oh, no.
Good movie.
Motion to approve the salary ordinance update.
Second.
Before you call the question, just for clarification, the only line that was added, not amended, was we added a subpart I in the part-time salary section, made note that it is reimbursable by the United States Marshals Service. And then, as has been our recent custom, this would be a complete repeal and replace of the prior part-time salary ordinance. That way, everything can be found in one ordinance in the future.
Thank you for
Those are
clarifying
the only
that.
changes.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a motion from Eugene and a second from Dan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Hold on. Oh, is it your intention to pass today?
Yeah, if we can.
Okay, so then you would need to make a motion to call the question for approval today, which must be unanimous, and then subsequent to that, you can take a vote on the actual ordinance.
I'm asking for that motion.
So moved?
Second.
Motion from Dan, second from Ryan. Now we can vote.
You can roll call, and this vote must be unanimous.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Now you can call the question on the actual ordinance itself.
All right.
Eugene? Make a motion on the,
A motion was already
the
made
motion was made.
previously. You
All right,
can just
so
call that question.
Roll
now.
call then, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Ben, to get us sorted out.
Yeah, I know. That's why we have an attorney here. Okay. That's the only ordinance or resolution that we had for today. Moving on to appointments and committee reports. Last month, we had members of the Together DM organization come and speak to us about building their board. We talked about looking for individuals to represent out in the county. I know the commissioners are working on their list as well, and I know when we were at their meeting, they were looking more at some of the, getting people from the towns and such. So we were looking for people outside of the county. The names that I have of people who have expressed interest, or names from council members who have talked to people who have agreed that they are interested, I think what we'll do initially is we'll go down and we'll, if you just want to take a note on your agenda and write down these names, when we do our roll call, you'll just list your top 5. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, so the first name I have is Vicky Gassaway. Next name is Dick Johnson. Next name is Jacob Case. Next name is Rob Kiesling. Then we have Joe Russell. Followed by Stephen Brand. Tony Johnson. Amy West. And John West. Do we have any other nominations from the bench? Hearing none, I'll go through that list one more time. We have Vicky Gassaway, Dick Johnson, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Joe Russell, Stephen Brand, Tony Johnson, Amy West, and John West. Does everyone have all those names?
We're selecting 5.
Yeah, so when we do roll call, just list your top 5. Are we good? Last chance for any other nominations. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Tony Brand.
Stephen Brand or Tony Johnson?
Stephen Brand,
Okay,
and, rest of them I haven't talked to. I'll put Tony Johnson in there.
okay. All right,
Mr. Hughes.
Vicky Gassaway, Dick Johnson, Jacob Case, Joe Russell, Tony Johnson.
Mr. Cantz.
Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Joe Russell, Stephen Brand, Tony Johnson.
Mr. Mokel.
Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Joe Russell, Stephen Brand, Tony Johnson.
Russell, Stephen Brand, will you repeat it again, please, Jim?
Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Joe Russell, Stephen Brand, Tony Johnson.
Mr. Webb.
My selections is Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Stephen Brand, and Tony Johnson.
Mr. Whitehead.
Joe Russell, Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Tony Johnson.
Ms. Piper.
Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Joe Russell, Tony Johnson. For me, I had Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Joe Russell, and Tony Johnson. So if I calculated correctly, Denise or Ed, if you want to look, I have Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Tony Johnson, Rob Kiesling, and Joe Russell. Are those our top 5?
Yes.
I thought there was a tie.
I have a tie also. Stephen Brand and Rob Houston.
Oh, I see it now. I apologize. We got a tie here. All right, so let's roll call on
I suggest we submit 6 names.
6.
I think they said about 5, didn't they, when they made their presentation?
I think you're correct. I mean,
I'm okay with that.
I'm good with it too.
And that's,
I think they're both good applicants for it, so.
okay, let's do that then. We'll give these 6. So again, the 6 that will be representing the county council on the Together DM board will be Vicky Gassaway, Jacob Case, Rob Kiesling, Joe Russell, Stephen Brand, and Tony Johnson. So thank you to the council for working on talking to folks. Thank you to people who reached out to us with interest. I'm excited to see where this board takes us, so. All right, auditor's office, you good with all that?
I'm fine.
Okay. I don't think we have any new business today. Elected officials and department heads.
This is Pam McCammon, Human Resource Director. I just wanted to give you an update on the salary, or the salary, positions, the job, what do I want to say, job descriptions. Everything has been turned in on time. We've got 2 departments that are still left. I've not got their paperwork to me, but I've talked to their admin and we're gonna get those in, but everybody else turned all their paperwork in to me on time, and they've already been delivered to Wagner and Shilley, so everything is, now it's kind of in their hands.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to give you an update on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Do we know when we would get the first report back
I don't
from them?
know, because I was on vacation last week, so they didn't tell me, and we delivered them, the day before I left on vacation, so I know they were shocked that they were all turned in, and they were gonna get busy, so as soon as I get any report, I'll report back to you guys.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Tony Skinner, Delaware County Sheriff, just a 6-month update on, food cost for the jail like I do every 6 months. Our meal, price per meal went up significantly the first 6 months of this year. Luckily, the number of meals that we served went down significantly compared to this time last year. So you'll see on the list, in the first 6 months, we served about 173,000 meals in the jail. Compare that to last year. Last year was about 213,000, so it's down almost 40,000 meals. But we spent almost exactly the same amount of money that we spent last year, so, our average meal cost in the jail last year was $1.60. It's $1.89 now for the first 6 months of this year. We have been searching for, other vendors in the kitchen as far as, food providers. Historically, we kind of always buy from the same, company. We're looking to expand that. So if we can buy, you know, meat from one company and, you know, tortilla chips and drinks from another, whatever. So we are looking at options to get that number down, but for right now, that's what it is. So it's like everything, it's like postage. It's going up like crazy, so.
Sheriff, why the, drastic decrease in number of meals?
Just because last year we had a lot more inmates the first 6 months of the year.
A lot of them were housed from out of the county, weren't they?
Yeah, a lot of those were Henry County inmates, and we sent them back. At one point, we were holding 60-something of them, at our max. So last year, the number's what it is. Last year we served about 40,000 meals more in the first 6 months, so we had a lot more inmates last year. And like I said, a lot of that had to do with the out-of-county inmates. So, we were getting paid for them, so,
Not that I'm happy, but, in my mind, going from $1.60 last year to $1.89 this year, I wouldn't think that would be too far out of line. I mean, I know it's a substantial increase, but, I think anybody that's bought groceries since the first of the year, has seen a drastic increase in prices.
sure. No, I would agree with that totally. And, in my first year in office in 2019, we brought in food service companies. I brought in 3 of them and auditioned them, to take over our food service in the jail. And only one of those companies could even compare doing our meals for roughly the same price that we were doing them. And at that time, I think it was about $1.46 per meal, in 2019. But in order to hire that company to take over the food service in the jail, they would have taken over our cooks in our jail. They would have hired them, which makes sense. But they wouldn't have hired them as 20-year employees like they were. They would have hired them as first-year employees, which means that in order to change over to one of those food service companies, our cooks in the jail, and we had 4 of them at the time, and they all 4 had 20 years of service or more. They would have all lost 6 weeks of vacation to go work for that other company, and I couldn't do that to them. So, last week we had a sheriff's conference. 3 weeks ago, I went to the National Sheriff's Conference, and I'm still talking to some of these food companies, and they're saying that their average meal cost for the jails they service, is about $2.80 to $3 per meal. So even though this number is higher than it's been historically, it's still much cheaper than if we had an outside service doing our food. If that makes sense.
So with your total expenditure, 327, we talked once before about the increased population of the jail. I know here recently it's kind of gotten somewhat high. Has it been that way all year, or is that recent? I guess what I'm trying to get at is this total expenditure an accurate reflection of what to expect the second half based off the population we have now, or should it go up because the populations went up?
So our average inmate population, in January, it was 308, and then 321, 313, 310, 325, so it's slowly creeping up this year. If I look back on the numbers last year, it peaked around March and April and then went down. So hopefully, as the summer's winding down and the warm weather, for some reason, there again, historical numbers, your inmate population is always higher in the summertime. So, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, and there's no way you could ever predict it. But, we don't know.
What are we at now?
363.
63. Well, 308 to 363.
Yeah. So just giving you an update on food costs. Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Any other department heads or elected officials? Cool. Did we have anyone sign up for public comment today? No public comment?
Can I make one, thing before we move on? Or no, I guess we're next.
Yeah, so next we have comments from the council. I have a couple things I want to address. One, I want to take this opportunity to thank the commissioners and the highway departments, but specifically Tommy and Carrie, for the memorial for Jane out at the fair. That was a lovely service. The sign looked great. I heard random people walking around the fair talking about Jane's sign. I had someone text me, they could like see it from the road. So it really touched a lot of people, and the weather held out for us, and that was, that was wonderful. And I know that means a lot to many of us in this room that was there. So thank you, for that. The other thing I had to, if the auditor's office, if you could take a look at the departments that had top 5 departments had the biggest increase to their budgets. If you could get me that list, I'd like to try to get some kind of pre-budget meeting set for us to take a look at those before we go into budget sessions. So if you could do that for me, that would be delightful. And then on the topic of budgets, we're all aware, we all went to the training, and most of you have heard that there is legislation in place for live streaming any event that happens in this room, whether it's the commissioners or the council or any other board, starting on July 1st of 25. I've talked to the commissioners about making sure that, specifically Shannon, about making sure that we budget for that appropriately moving forward into the 25 budget. So it doesn't need to be there right now. However, we do have a contract with Endpoint Creative, and I did get a quote from them for live streaming our council budget hearings. And so what I was provided was the initial block of 20 hours of meeting time would be about $2,000. Additional streaming time would then accrue at an $80 per hour rate if we were to do this for our live streams. Now, we do have a contractual service line item in our budget. It's a 300 level series, so it would just be an easy pay the bill situation. But that is there, if that's the pleasure of the council to live stream that event.
Well, if I could quickly add to that, obviously, everyone's aware, I've been trying to get the budget meetings live streamed for some time now. I've been live streamed it myself from my cell phone from this very seat last year. I did a survey on social media, just a quick survey, hey, do you think we should live stream the budget meetings? And the responses, we had 500 plus yeses and 4 no's. So in the community, just in that little group, not a lot of people in that group, 500 yeses and 4 no's. So I would like to make a motion for us to agree to live stream the meeting.
Second.
So a motion's been made by Ryan, a second by Bill. Do any questions about live streaming?
See, I've had the opposite reaction on the people I've talked to. Now, I didn't do a survey online, but I've talked to people for my budget.
If you can speak louder.
Oh, I'm
instead of
sorry.
just saying-
I've had the opposite reaction. I've had people that said, no, they're not really interested in seeing. It's just like you, I just trying to find that gauge of the interest.
Well, I think I would have to agree. There's probably plenty of people who aren't interested. If anybody's ever sit to a budget meeting, I can't necessarily say that I would obviously be interested in sitting through the whole thing either. What I found is what people want the option. They want to be able to go and check in at the 3-hour mark and see where we're at, or to follow up with something. So I don't think anybody wants to, is screaming at the hilltop to do it, but they would love the option to be able to do it. We live stream every other meeting, and this is the most important meeting of the year, deciding how to spend $50 million, so.
So assuming that all 500 people that participated in your online survey were from Delaware County, that's about 0.5% of our population who have interest. So, I mean, it's coming and it's inevitable that starting in 25 that we will, but we have the funds there if that's something we want to do. So do you have any other questions?
Can this be set up, so that we might could do this live this year?
That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, this is to
do
live
it
stream
for-
this
People are
year.
in place to do this.
Yeah, so we have a quote from Endpoint Creative, and I've talked to Mark, and he's available. Typically, the first day is a 12 to 13-hour day. The second day, it's like an 8-hour day. We just kind of guessed on previous years how long we took, and what that would look like, which is why we, had that quote of 2,000 and then $80 per every additional hour, if that's something we want to do. Now, I don't know if anyone's noticed here in the room or those watching on the stream, but we are now streaming only on YouTube and then sharing the link on Facebook, which is nice because the vast majority of people have access to YouTube versus people like Mr. Whitehead over there who does not utilize the face page. So, there are a lot more options for people, and obviously different generational demographics aren't on Facebook, so it makes more sense to stream on YouTube, and the commissioners have made that decision. So the past couple weeks now, the meetings have been on YouTube versus Facebook, if you have noticed.
Could I add one more thing, please?
Yeah.
To this, discussion. So, in doing the research for this, I think it's important that everybody understand that we have the money in the budget to do it. This is already gonna be mandated for us to do, coming up here very soon. Looks better on us as a municipality, yeah, I can't even say that.
County.
Municipality to, yeah, there you go, the
County.
county. To get ahead of this and, you know, to get out in front of it before we're required by law to do it. You know, we have this equipment, the commissioners spent a lot of money to install this equipment, we have it here. But more importantly, it's about perception, public perception. And I know my former colleague, Mr. Ballard, used to get upset when people would talk about transparency, but that's the reality, you know. The average person on the street doesn't trust us, you know. I mean, I shouldn't say average. There are people out there who don't trust us. So anytime we have an opportunity to increase transparency and to put everything out in the open, I think we should take that opportunity. So if someone's out on the street and they go, well, they have the equipment, they have the money, why are they not doing it? It just raises questions, and I don't have to remind anybody. We live in a community that, you know, almost double digits of our elected officials went to prison for corruption. And I don't want to be lumped into anyone thinking that we're up to no good. We're all honest people up here, and we make the best decisions we can with your money, and nobody's doing anything nefarious, but people think that. So if we have an opportunity to show everything out in the open, every single penny, where it goes, I think we should take advantage of that and meet the people where they are. And the majority of them aren't in this room. The majority of them are on social media at some point or another, whether they come back to it or they sit there for, God forbid, 12 hours and watch this whole thing. I hope nobody's doing that, but if they do, kudos to them. I just wanted to put that out there for everyone to consider.
All right, any more comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
No.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right. I hope y'all have your popcorn ready for hours and hours and hours and hours and more hours of budget fun. So Endpoint Creative will, get in contact, make sure, Mark, that you're on top of when all of our meetings are. So,
I do have a question.
yes.
You requested the top 5 increased budgets for each office.
Oh, yeah.
Is that by percentage or dollars?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's do, let's do percentage.
Okay.
That's a great question.
You know the money guy's gonna have a.
I know, right? Matt, did you have something you wanted?
Yeah, two
Okay.
things. One, to your question about or your statement about the highway department, and the commissioners, relative to the 332 fiasco. Want to say thanks to everybody there too, relative to that. I know it's been a extreme, dysfunctional situation, so, I know it's not making anybody happy. My understanding from NDOT is that they are gonna be working towards trying to get that done sooner rather than later if the weather holds, which obviously the next 2 weeks looks like it's gonna be about 1,000 degrees every day, so, hopefully that happens, so earlier than that original mid-August date, so hopefully that works out, so thank you for that. And then one thing for any elected official, you'll be receiving an invitation or an announcement for an August 31st breakfast brunch type meeting with Ball Brothers Foundation. I met with Jenna from Ball Brothers. They approached me a while back about doing a connection with the commissioners, elected officials, giving them an opportunity to build relationships, share a little bit more about what Ball Brothers does, what their projects are typically, how they co-fund with local government, ideas around things like we talked about earlier about the radios and such, and then highlighting some of their, programs that they've been part of, like Jump and other things. So I think it'll be a really good opportunity for those who don't understand their mission in real detail or how they work, how those funding requests actually can come through. It will be a good opportunity for everybody to ask questions and really get to know how that operates. Obviously, that foundation and many others are super important to what we do here and can be helpful to the county in general. So hopefully everybody will take advantage of attending that.
Awesome. Any other comments? Yes, go ahead, Bill.
I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate Doug Mauer on his appointment by the governor as the new judge of Delaware Circuit Court 3, beginning September 1st. Hate to lose a deputy prosecutor, but Doug is extremely well qualified, long years of practice, and I think will do an excellent job. Also like to congratulate Judge Wolf on her retirement. She has served 36 years on the bench, 21 as city court judge and 15 in Circuit Court 3, and we certainly wish her well.
For sure. She's been great to work with on the Delaware County Community Corrections Board. She's been our president for a year or two now, I think, our chair. So she's been very delightful, and I hope she has a great retirement. Last thing, I totally forgot to mention this a second ago, but the fair happened last week, and it was wonderful. I saw many of those in the audience and up here on the bench attending the fair. The fair board did an excellent job. I know that State Senator Scott Alexander, in his remarks about Jane at her memorial, talked about being a little bit more like Jane at the fair this year. And if you saw trash, pick it up. Kindness is free, being polite to people. And I just saw a lot of that at the fair this year. So kudos to the fair board. Kudos to anyone who participated and maybe picked up some extra trash around the fair. It was one of the best I've seen in quite some time. So thank you to everyone. And then 4-H too. The 4-H program was awesome as well.
Can I say something real fast? That's one of the things I was gonna touch on as well. The fair was last week, and, I got a little bit different perspective this year being married to a fair board member, but, those fair board members put in a ton of work. So I was out there every day, or almost every day, and there's several of the same faces I seen every day, all day long out there, grinding away in the sun. So, that's a tough board to be on, and especially some of those veterans who've been on it for a while. They know what they're doing, and they are dedicated. I think that week for them is like Christmas. They love it. So we should all be thankful to have such dedicated volunteers to do that. That's an unpaid board. They do it because they love the community, and they do it because they want to make the fair the best fair that we can possibly have. And, it was packed. The demolition derby was standing room only both nights. There were a few other nights that had a really good crowd. I went to most of them. And, it was great seeing a lot of people out there. I want to also thank the commissioners for, agreeing to do the grandstands and putting the sign up with Tommy, those guys getting the sign up with Jane. It did look wonderful, and it was wonderful to see so many elected officials, both current and former, come out to show their support. I know that Jane would have been tremendously thankful to have so much loving support, which I'm sure she already knew how much everyone felt about her. But the last thing is kudos to you guys of the highway department for that 332 fiasco, like Matt said. And I know you're not out there just once, because every time I found a new shortcut, you guys close it off the next day. So good job. You guys are out there every day, fine tuning it. But no, kudos to you guys. You guys doing a lot of good work out there, and helping fix what was kind of a messed up opportunity there.
Just so everyone's clear on the whole 332 thing, county guys, we talked about the local detour, we formed the local detour, and that's what we do. NDOT requires us to do that, so that's what we did. The problem was, I want everybody to be aware, the problem was the semis were actually destroying the railroad crossings. So the semi actually bent a rail, and the railroad individuals out there said that if the train would have come through, it would have derailed the train. And the problem is that line carries toxic material. So that's why the closures are like they are. We're trying to protect the railroads because we don't want another situation like occurred in Ohio recently with the train derailment. So that's really the reason. It's not, we don't like it. Tommy and his guys have been out there every day. Tommy's out there all day yesterday. You're going back probably after the meeting. So that's the reason it is like it is. And we don't like it, but again, we got to protect the rails because we do not want derailment in that part of the county, anywhere, but.
Yes, Shannon said it pretty much right on. The rails are the most important. Our roads are like really important, but this is way more important because we were jeopardized out there, and it's out of towners coming, not paying attention to the billboards, and we had no choice. Like I said, we had a little committee that we went through and got these roads shut down, but it's the only way. I know it's handy for people, but it's the only way to protect our community, so.
It was good. It was a good adjustment on the fly.
Yeah.
And from what people may say, well, there's no railroad on the other side. What people don't understand, number one, semi shouldn't be going up down those county roads. But number two, the way that road comes out, that's not conducive to a semi being able to make those turns. It's a tight turn on the other side, so that's why they can't detour on either side of it, whether it's a railroad or not. So good job.
I will say Wednesday was the worst day of my history at the county highway department. Thanks to the sheriff's department coming out, it was like a riot area. It was unbelievable. The disrespect for law enforcement, for the county highway, for the state highway, horrible. So, but everything's under control. We're gonna keep an eye on it. We're patrolling it every day. We get different shifts. We make sure everything's okay. We got concrete barriers out there now. We actually have trucks ramming them. So, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge every day, but we're gonna stay on it. So. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you. All right, last chance. Any additional comments from the bench? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Piper.
Yes. So reminder, our next meeting is Tuesday, August 22nd, 9 a.m., same place. And then budget hearings start Wednesday, September 6th. See you next time.